3 days ago, the U.S. Navy opened fire on an Iranian ship trying to break a blockade. That ship wasn't carrying food, and the U.S. had been tracking it for weeks. This is not just a naval skirmish. This is the visible tip of a war that has been running in the shadows. To understand what you just heard, you need to understand the contract. For decades, Iran and the West operated under a silent arrangement. Not peace, not alliance, a controlled pressure, a managed tension, covert operations, proxy wars, assassinations disguised as accidents. Both sides understood the rules. Neither side acknowledged them publicly for 30 years. Then there was Stuxnet, 2010, a cyber weapon launched into Iran's Natanz enrichment facility. 1,000 centrifuges destroyed, no missile fired, no soldier deployed, no war declared. Iran never officially confirmed the attack happened. The US never officially confirmed it launched it. That is the nature of this war. Hidden, patient, deniable. Then, in February 2026, the unspoken rules broke. What intelligence agencies had been calling Phase 1 began quietly. Then it didn't. Joint US-Israeli airstrikes, coordinated, sustained, targeting Iran's missile manufacturing infrastructure, drone production facilities, and IRGC command nodes across 4 provinces simultaneously.
Integrity critical.
The operation carried a name, Roaring Lion. 150 designated targets, struck in under 72 hours. Iranian state television reported limited damage. Satellite imagery told a different story. But here is what the major networks won't show you. The war inside the war. Because while the strikes were visible, the harder campaign was invisible. Consider Kharg Island, a strip of land in the Persian Gulf, 25 kilometers from Iran's southwestern coast. It handles approximately 90% of Iran's crude oil exports. Without Kharg, Iran's economy does not slow. It collapses. In weeks, not years. Iran knows this, which is why Kharg is now one of the most heavily fortified positions in the entire Middle East. Sea mines, coastal missile batteries, drone interdiction networks. But the real leverage is not on the island. It is at the choke point, the Strait of Hormuz, 33 kilometers wide at its narrowest point. 20% of the world's oil passes through it. Every single day. Iran's position is simple. If Kharg falls, the strait closes. That is not a military tactic. That is a hostage situation. And the hostage is the global economy. But the real horror was what came next. While the world tracked missile strikes and tanker routes, something else was moving in the dark. Iran's proxy network did not stand down after Operation Roaring Lion. It regrouped Hezbollah in Lebanon, the Houthis in Yemen, the Popular Mobilization Forces in Iraq. 3 distinct organizations, 3 different theaters, 1 coordination signal, and at the center of that signal, intelligence agencies across 3 continents began tracking a single figure. No public profile, no verified location, no photographs confirmed as current. Known internally by a single operational designation. His signature is visible in every proxy operation that has moved since February 2026. Israel reportedly identified him within days of the first Roaring Lion strike. That is notable. Not because it means they can stop him, but because it means they tried to, and couldn't. The Mossad does not fail to locate targets without reason. This man operates inside a command architecture designed specifically to survive the kind of decapitation campaign Roaring Lion was built to deliver. This is the infrastructure of a war that does not end when the bombing stops. If this is the kind of coverage you've been looking for, Operations that don't make headlines. Subscribe to Frontline Files. The next file is already loading. There is one more layer, the one that explains why this shadow war will not end with a ceasefire. Iran's missile and drone programs sustained significant damage during Roaring Lion. That is confirmed. But the nuclear program is the real objective, and it remains unfinished. Before the strikes, Iran had enriched uranium to 60% purity. Weapons grade requires 90%. The distance between those two numbers can be measured in weeks, not years, with the right equipment. And Iran has been moving that equipment underground since 2022. One analyst put it plainly: nations that watch what happens to states without nuclear deterrence draw a single conclusion: get one or remain a target. That calculation is now Iran's primary strategic driver, not ideology, not religion, not politics, survival. And the covert war, on both sides, has never been more directly connected to that single goal. There is a pattern in how this war works. Every visible strike has an invisible counterpart. Every named operation has an unnamed one running beneath it. Iran was struck harder in 72 hours than at any point since the Iran-Iraq War of the 1980s. And the response was not a counterattack. The response was silence. Calculated, patient, structural. History is full of powers that mistook silence for surrender. The distance between a defeated nation and a regrouping one is not visible from satellite imagery, not from open-source intelligence, not from press briefings. It only becomes visible later, when the next operation begins. And then, the shadow war has already moved on to its next phase. 3 trajectories are now active.
Scenario 1. A managed ceasefire holds. The visible war pauses. The covert war does not. Proxy networks quietly rearm. Kharg Island fortifies further. The shadow figures remain in place. Scenario 2. The Strait of Hormuz closes, not through miscalculation, through decision. Global oil supply disrupted. Economic pressure forces a negotiated settlement on Iran's terms. Scenario 3. Iran accelerates what Roaring Lion was designed to stop, not through open defiance, through the same quiet architecture that has defined this conflict for 30 years. Underground, unannounced, deniable.
The unnamed figure at the center of Iran's proxy network is the variable that determines which of these plays out. Because whoever controls that coordination signal controls the timeline. And right now, nobody outside Tehran knows for certain where he is. The bullets may have stopped. The Navy ship is back on patrol. The satellite imagery shows smoke clearing over Isfahan. The press briefings are already calling it a success. But the shadow war never.